Let me tell you about the day the HOA declared war on the wrong cowboy. It was a Tuesday morning. Crisp October air rolling across my 80-acre ranch in the Texas Hill Country. I was fixing fence line near the creek when I spotted them. 3 white pickup trucks with magnetic door signs that read, Willowbrook HOA Security. My blood went cold. You see, my ranch has been in my family since 1952. My granddaddy bought this land when it was nothing but mesquite and limestone, built the main house with his own hands, cleared the pastures, dug the well. For 70 years, we've raised cattle, horses, and hell when necessary. But 2 years ago, developers bought the land next to mine and built Willowbrook Estates. 200 cookie-cutter houses with their own little kingdom of rules. The trouble started when their property line touched about 50 feet of my eastern fence. Suddenly, I had an HOA claiming they had authority over what I did with my own land. Letters started showing up. Notices about unauthorized livestock structures because I built a new barn. Complaints about my non-conforming agricultural vehicles parked in my own damn driveway. I threw every letter in the trash where it belonged, but this morning, they crossed a line I never thought they'd be stupid enough to cross. 3 guys got out of those trucks, all wearing tactical vests and carrying clipboards like they were serving warrants. The leader, a pudgy guy with a security company patch, walked right up to my gate like he owned the place. Sir, we're here to conduct a compliance inspection of your property, he announced, not even bothering to introduce himself. Set down my fence stretcher and walked over, taking my time. You boys lost? This is private property and you're trespassing. We have authority under HOA Covenant CC&Rs to inspect adjacent properties that may be affecting community standards, he said, reading from his clipboard like he was reciting the Bible. Laughed, couldn't help myself. Son, I don't know what fairy tale you're reading from, but this is Texas. You got about 10 seconds to get back in those trucks before I call the sheriff. That's when the second guy, younger and clearly trying to impress his boss, made the mistake that changed everything. He stepped forward and put his hand on my gate latch. We're coming in whether you like it or not, old man. Old man! I'm 45, built like a brick shithouse from 30 years of ranch work, and I served 2 tours in Afghanistan before coming home to run cattle. But this kid with his fake badge thought he could intimidate me. Touch that gate and you'll regret it, I warned him. He unlatched it anyway. What happened next was pure instinct. 20 years of military training don't just disappear because you're wearing cowboy boots instead of combat boots. When he stepped onto my property, I grabbed his wrist, twisted it behind his back, and put him face first into the dirt before he knew what hit him. His boss reached for something on his belt. Looked like pepper spray, but I was already moving. I caught his arm, twisted, and sent him sprawling into my fence post. The crack his ribs made when he hit was loud enough to spook. My horse is in the next pasture. The third guy, the smart one, was already backing toward his truck. We're calling the cops. You do that, I said, not even breathing hard. Tell them how you trespassed on private property and got your asses handed to you by one cowboy. The kid was still face down in the dirt, whimpering about his arm. His boss was clutching his side, trying to stand up but not having much luck. I stood there watching them collect their dignity, what little they had left, and limp back to their trucks. Next time you want to inspect something, I called after them, inspect a map and learn where your authority ends. They drove off trailing dust and excuses, and I went back to fixing my fence. But I knew this wasn't over. HOAs don't give up easy. They're like fire ants. Piss off one and the whole colony comes after you. Sure enough. 3 days later, Sheriff Martinez pulled up my driveway. Roberto and I go way back. We served together before he came home to run for sheriff. He got out of his patrol car, shaking his head and grinning. Danny, please tell me you didn't hospitalize 3 HOA security guards. I didn't hospitalize anyone. They left under their own power, mostly. He laughed. They filed assault charges. Want to tell me what really happened? I told him the whole story, start to finish. Roberto knew my land, knew my family, Knew I wasn't the type to start trouble but wouldn't back down from finishing it. "Here's the thing," he said. "They were trespassing. You have every right to defend your property, but they're claiming you attacked them unprovoked. You believe that? Hell no. But I gotta follow procedure. You need to come in and give a statement. Bring your lawyer." 2 hours later, I was sitting in the sheriff's office with my attorney, Jake Morrison. Jake's been handling my family's legal affairs for 15 years, property disputes, mineral rights, the occasional drunk, and disorderly when my cowboys get too frisky in town. The HOA's version of events was pure fiction. According to them, I attacked 3 security professionals who were conducting routine community safety inspections. They wanted me charged with aggravated assault, criminal trespass, which was rich, considering they were on my land, and destruction of property because one of their clipboards got broken in the scuffle. Jake listened to their lawyer's demands with the kind of patient smile he reserves for special occasions. Then he pulled out his phone and showed everyone the video. "See, I installed security cameras around my property after some vandalism issues last year. Crystal clear footage of everything that happened, including audio of them, threatening to enter my property without permission and the kid calling me an old man." The DA took one look at that video and dismissed all charges. "Self-defense on your own property against trespassers? That's not a crime in Texas. It's a constitutional right." But the HOA wasn't done with me yet. If they couldn't get me in criminal court, they'd try civil court. 2 weeks later, Jake called with news that made my day. "They're suing you for $100,000 in damages. Assault, emotional distress, lost wages, medical bills, the whole circus." "How much are their medical bills?" "Kid had a sprained wrist. Boss had bruised ribs. Third guy claims he's traumatized and can't sleep at night." I had to admire their creativity, if not their honesty, but Jake wasn't worried. In fact, he sounded downright cheerful. "Danny, I've been waiting 30 years for a case like this. These subdivision cowboys think they can intimidate rural landowners with fake authority and frivolous lawsuits. Time to teach them how real Texas justice works." The civil trial was set for spring, which gave me 6 months to prepare. But the HOA couldn't leave well enough alone. They kept pushing, kept testing my limits, kept proving that some people never learn from their mistakes. First, they tried to have my property condemned as a public nuisance. Failed. Then they petitioned the county to run a new road through my back pasture for emergency access. That failed too. They even sent the fire marshal out to inspect my barn, claiming I was storing hazardous materials. The fire marshal, Jimmy Vasquez, grew up on a ranch 2 counties over. He took one look at my hay barn and livestock feed and told the HOA exactly where they could stick their complaint, but their biggest mistake came in February. 3 months before our court date, I was in town getting supplies when my neighbor, old Pete Kowalski, called me in a panic. "Danny, you need to get home. There's surveyors on your property, and they got sheriff's deputies with them." I broke every speed limit between town and home. But when I got there, the show was already over. Pete filled me in while we watched the convoy of trucks and official vehicles pull away. They claimed they had a court order to survey your property line. Had 3 deputies, 2 surveyors, and a guy in a suit with a briefcase. But when they tried to enter your gate, your bulls decided they didn't like visitors. I looked out at my pasture and started laughing. Brutus, my prize Angus bull, was standing by the gate looking smug. That bull weighs 2,200 pounds and has the temperament of a rattlesnake with a migraine. Behind him, my other bulls were grazing peacefully like nothing had happened. What exactly did Brutus do? Soon as that surveyor opened your gate, Brutus charged. Didn't hurt nobody. But that boy with the measuring stick jumped clean over a fence post. The deputies decided maybe they should verify that court order before proceeding. Turns out there wasn't one. The HOA had forged a court order, a federal crime. As Jake was delighted to inform them in a very official letter that copied the FBI, the state attorney general, and every local newspaper within 50 miles. By the time our civil trial rolled around in May, the HOA was fighting for survival. Half their board had resigned. Their insurance company was threatening to drop them, and 3 different government agencies were investigating their activities. The trial lasted exactly 1 day. Jake presented our evidence methodically. The security footage, the false court order, the pattern of harassment, the trespassing, and my constitutional right to defend my property. The HOA's lawyer, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else, put their security team on the stand. Watching those 3 boys try to explain how they were just doing their jobs, while the video played on a big screen was painful. The kid who'd called me an old man actually started crying when Jake asked him to explain exactly what authority he thought he had on private property. The jury deliberated for 47 minutes. They found in my favor on all counts and awarded me $75,000 in damages, plus attorney fees. But the real victory came when the judge addressed the HOA directly. This court finds that the defendant, HOA, has engaged in a systematic pattern of harassment, intimidation, and illegal activity against the plaintiff. Their actions represent everything that's wrong with unchecked authority and bureaucratic overreach. Mr. Rodriguez has shown remarkable restraint in defending his constitutional rights, and this community is fortunate to have citizens willing to stand up to such abuse. The Willowbrook HOA folded 6 months later. Half the homeowners sued to dissolve it. The other half couldn't afford the insurance premiums after our case. The development is still there, but it's just houses now. No more fake security guards, no more threats, no more letters telling people what they can do with their own property. As for me, I'm still here on the family ranch, still running cattle, still fixing fences, and still keeping Brutus well fed and ready for unexpected visitors. My gate stays locked, my cameras stay on, and my constitutional rights stay intact. The HOA learned the hard way that some fights aren't worth picking. When you mess with a man's land, you're not just challenging his property. You're challenging everything his family built, everything he believes in, and everything he's willing to fight for. And in Texas, that's a fight you're going to lose every single time. If you enjoyed this story of standing up to HOA bullies, smash that like button and let me know in the comments. Have you ever had to defend your property rights against overreaching authority? Don't forget to subscribe for more real stories of American justice, Texas style.